Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Nerd
where
Talk
are
podcast,
you?
Nerdy Talk for
We
Nerdy
need
fans.
some
I, of
help.
course, am your host, Remington Kais, and today I'm joined on the show by one of our guests. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Patricia Miranda. I am the co-host of Old School Lane Casual Chats, the podcast where we talk about various topics from movies, TV shows, video games, and everything else in between. You may know some of my podcasts like Old School Lane Casual Chats. We're in between where I talked about every episode of As Told by Ginger, including various guests who worked on the show. You probably know from my co-host Aaron Meta from the Aaron Meta Show. We do a podcast called Pixmix, where we look at every single Pixar film, Dream Machine, where we look at all the DreamWorks films, Journey to the Blue Sky, which is all the Blue Sky Studios films, the Roald Dahl Retrospective, where we take a look at all the Roald Dahl adaptations, and various others. So yeah, that's and also I do analytical videos. You probably know some of the videos I've done, like Why As Told by Ginger was groundbreaking yet overlooked, the history of Harold the Jungle movie, and various others. So yeah, that's what I do.
Hi everyone, my name is That Long-Haired Creepy Guy. I used to do reviews online for YouTube until my channel got nuked, but one of my favorite things to review of all was Scooby-Doo.
Hello, I'm Gareths Mod. I've been on YouTube for at least 12 years at this point, and I make funny gaming videos, and once in a while I like to make thought-provoking pieces. I covered some gaming news, but yeah.
And most importantly, thank you guys for tuning in and making this show a part of your week. And you, like Patricia, have been on the show plenty of times.
Yeah. I have been it's been a few years, but I've been on the show at least like 3 times.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. I always love working with you.
Yeah.
You always
We
have
gotta work.
something
We gotta do this more often, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Today we're celebrating a milestone that's been thrilling fans for over 5 decades now. That's right, we're talking about Scooby-Doo turning 55. You know, he's probably one of the oldest living dogs in media.
Yeah. How much is that in dog years? Like over 200 or something?
Exactly. You know, from spooky mysteries to iconic catchphrases, this franchise has captured the hearts of generations. Today, we're going to explore the history of Scooby-Doo, its evolution over the years, and some of our favorite episodes and moments. We'll dive into the impact the gang has had on pop culture and how they continue to inspire new content to this day. So let's solve the mystery and why we can't get enough of this classic show. Let's explore the evolution of Scooby-Doo and kind of our favorite series with it.
Believe it or not, Scooby-Doo is one of the oldest memories I have of being alive. When I was about a year old, give or take, my older sister would set me in her lap in the living room, and we would watch cartoon shows together, and Scooby-Doo would come on, and it was our favorite.
I love one of my first VHS tapes was Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders.
I do remember when that came out. Yeah, I was in college.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm an old man. I officially have the old man card. I'm just missing a cane and some kids to yell at to get off my alarm.
The show started in 1969 and is still going to this day with new episodes and iterations and spin-offs. They actually have a Japanese anime coming out either the end of this year or beginning of 2025. And it's going to be, you know, Scooby and the gang in anime form, which should be interesting.
It's very similar to when they did Powerpuff Girls or even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in which they had an anime twist to them.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very interesting to see them in different kind of media and forms. I think my favorite series of theirs would have to be somewhere the Scooby-Doo show or a pup named Scooby-Doo. The Scooby-Doo show, I like that they have different people from in the gang. Like they have the cousin, in there they have Scrappy Doo. You know, it was kind of Scooby-Doo, but on a different network because I guess one network had Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? and then this other network had the Scooby-Doo show.
Yeah,
So it
I
would
believe it was like ABC and then NBC. So it was like a switch up between who was going to be the one to air it at the time. Because I mean, you essentially had these three major networks. You had ABC, NBC, CBS, and I mean, those were like the major ones. Back then, there was no Nickelodeon, no Cartoon Network. There was none of those other channels that we nowadays take for granted as for being around for showing off programs that featured a lot of kids entertainment. But back then you had these specific shows airing on Saturday mornings because that's when kids will be able to watch all these programs. They had like a specific time slot. Nowadays, if you want to see an equivalent of that, check out the cable channel MeTV.
Oh yeah, MeTV Tunes has got all kinds of craziness going on there. It's like the new age boomerang.
Yeah, pretty much. It is new age boomerang, where you have everything from the classic Hanna-Barbera cartoons to more recent shows like Dexter's Lab, the Powerpuff Girls, and Freakazoid. So, yeah, I would say that if you want to have a kind of like a blast from the past that people went through like decades ago, then I would say that's probably the closest equivalent to it nowadays.
What's your favorite series in the franchise?
Hmm. As far as a series goes, I would say it's a toss-up. It's gonna have to be like the original classic Where Are You / Scooby-Doo show, or Mystery Incorporated. You know, like those two are kind of neck and neck. Those two I can watch, and I put it on, and I'll be content.
What's your favorite iteration of Scooby-Doo?
I really liked the original. That's the one I watched with my dad growing up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that aired on Cartoon Network. There was also What's New Scooby-Doo. That was kind of my time, Scooby-Doo, early 2000s. It came out not long after the 90s movies and kind of had those character designs. Uh, but yeah, if you were asking me to remember an episode from it, I probably wouldn't be able to. Is the 1969 one is always the one that comes to mind for me.
I was a big fan of that one. I was a big fan of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
That's a good one.
I used to love that.
That's one I actually remember too. It's red herring.
Yeah, I love red.
Always red herring.
Always red herring.
It's definitely a tie between A Pup Named Scooby-Doo and Mystery Incorporated.
See, I liked Mystery Incorporated except for the second season. I don't think the second season hooked me as much as the first did.
Yeah, it's kind of like a situation where you have them trying to take a different direction, and then you kind of realize that maybe maybe they didn't think that they were going to go any further, and then we have to come up with a second season. I kind of felt the same way with like other shows like the Men in Black animated series or various others, where you definitely feel like they were able to have that lightning strike in the first season, then it just kind of like felt a little bit off when you see the second season. But I like the direction that they were trying to go with it, where it was definitely leaning more towards like a macabre style spooky atmosphere, very similar to what they did with the Mook animated films of the 90s and early 2000s, like Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, and various others. And I think that the storyline was actually what kept me intrigued, whereas like every single incarnation at that point was standalone. It was just one episode, one and done. But in this one, it actually had like a flowing narrative, which I actually really did enjoy. And as for Pup Named Scooby-Doo, I really enjoyed that because I like the way that they were able to just spoof the formula in a time in which when the Scooby-Doo franchise was getting very stale and people were just not really tuning into it as much as they used to. So they essentially like made fun of all the tropes and cliches, which actually made it a lot of fun.
And everyone goes to like Zombie Island as the best one. I still go Alien Invaders is my favorite out of any of the Scooby-Doo movies, and then probably the live action ones right under it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the Mook animated films were definitely like the major ones because you had people who worked on SWAT Cats, and many of the other Hanna-Barbera veterans were able to come in and write some of those movies, and they had a lot of elements that definitely was straying away far from what a typical Scooby-Doo incarnation was at that point in time. I think that once What's New Scooby-Doo came back, it was definitely trying to do a fresher take on the old formula that people had become accustomed to decades before. But the movies, at least the four Mook animated films, were able to come in and change things up a bit right before they started getting into a similar pattern when other animation studios took it over.
Well, let's go into like our favorite characters. Out of the people who have been part of the gang, who do you think is your favorite character and why?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I mean, I've been a massive fan of, obviously Scooby for a long time. I think that he's like a lovable mascot, but if I were to choose between the four teenagers, definitely Velma, because I just like the way that she was able to put together all of the ideas and clues and being able to come up with ideas of how they were able to solve the mystery. So I really did enjoy that.
Velma.
I like Velma a lot too. But my
Yeah,
favorite. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, the snarky, brainy girl.
It's got to be Scooby. Got to be Scooby and Shaggy. You know, he's a title character. They eat sandwiches. She eats sandwiches. I mean, I'm almost Shaggy, but not a stoner.
Listen, you know with me, anytime we have an opinion on something, I'm always the opposite of you.
Yeah,
You know where I'm going with about my favorite character, right?
it was your favorite character.
Scrappy.
Scrappy. You
Oh
would get
man,
so much shit for that. I know. I actually don't think Scrappy's that bad. I think he's overhated. And
absolutely.
I told that to somebody one time, and they're like, "Oh, I disagree with you heavily on that. Why did you even say that?" And I'm like, "It's like it's true."
Well, Tim Curry was originally supposed to be the main bad guy for that first Scooby Doo movie until he found out Scrappy was in it, and then he backed out.
Oh,
Can you imagine that? That would have been
oh
crazy.
man, it sucks. I really like Tim Curry. He's just like, "Oh, Scrappy Doo's going to be in it. I'm out, man."
Oh yeah, he. That's when they got the Mr. Bean instead. He replaced Tim
Oh,
Curry.
yeah, that's right.
He
Yeah, no,
that movie would have been so different with Tim Curry.
oh my God, it would have been. It's Tim
Oh,
Curry. He plays evil well.
right.
He plays evil really well, and it funny. I didn't know until recently he voiced Nigel Thornberry.
I know you would have never thought. You
Yeah,
never thought.
yeah. No, now that I listen to it, it's like, yeah, that's totally Tim Curry.
Anything with kind of scrappy in it, I was like a big fan of.
Mhm.
Except for the shorts when they were doing like the 3 episode segments, that was kind of like a downfall. But if it was like core, the original Mystery Inc. and Scrappy, like that was kind of my favorite episodes.
Mhm.
Um,
Pup Named Scooby Doo is also good too, by the way. Yeah.
oh, Pup
But
Named Scooby Doo is so great. I love a Pup Named Scooby Doo. It's like
mhm.
a good parody, but like also like gives good idea to the franchise.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Scooby, Dumb, and Scrappy. I like the kind of additional dogs to the group. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's
you
actually funny because, there's always that massive debate about like, did Scrappy Doo ruin the franchise? Which, believe it or not, some people may not even know this, but Scrappy ended up saving the franchise
right.
because it was at a time in which when NBC and ABC didn't want to air Scooby-Doo anymore because the ratings were low, and so they needed to come up with a new idea of bringing in some creativity and freshness. And so they thought, hey, let's just add this young kid character into the series. And so that's how Scrappy Doo came to be. And he literally saved the series from going under.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he adds a different element to it, whereas like the formula was the same for so many seasons. Where when he came in, it's like it gives them like another person, another dynamic for the Scooby and Shaggy duo.
Yeah.
Turning them into a trio, it gives them more to do. It changes up the status quo a little bit.
Yeah, and
That
I
makes
know a lot of
sense.
people were really disappointed when Fred, Velma, and Daphne left, and it was just Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy. But I mean, I can understand from at that point on, they were the popular characters, and so they wanted to keep them in, and so much into the point in which they were included in three of the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10 movies, which
Right.
was Boo Brothers, and The Reluctant Werewolf, and Ghoul School.
Yeah. Ghoul
Those were
School
the
is still a classic.
yeah, in fact, it's funny because Ghoul School pretty much just got a major renaissance when it was featured on OKKO, and
Mhm.
everybody like loves drawing the girls, because they
Yeah.
have like really interesting designs.
Right. I love it. It's still one of my childhood favorites. One of my
Mhm.
first introductions to the show.
Yeah,
So
I
behind.
it, it-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say because probably a reason why was because it aired a lot on Cartoon Network.
I had on VHS.
Oh, nice.
I had about 4 different copies of that VHS. So that was I wore it out. That was one of my favorites.
Okay.
Some fun behind the scenes facts. I got a couple facts behind the scenes for Scooby Doo for the audience. The first one being the original title for the show was the Mystery Five. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if you.
That, yeah, no joke. Me TV2 had told me that.
Oh my.
They're during their commercial breaks, they do these cartoon college segments,
Yeah.
and they talked about that one and how it was originally just a band, and I don't even think Scooby was involved.
There were 5 characters, like in excluding like the dog character. There were going to be 5 characters. It was Jeff, Mike, Kelly, Linda, and WW. And the dog, I believe, was a sheepdog, not a Great Dane. Yeah, it was them copying the Archie formula. Yeah, because that Archie song "Sugar Sugar" it became like super popular on the radio. So they decided to just do something with that. At some point, Jeff and Mike were fused together and became Fred. Kelly became Daphne, uh, Linda became Velma, and WW became Shaggy. And I do know that Iwao, the artist who was working for Hanna-Barbera and in charge of character designs, he actually consulted with a professional breeder who raised Great Danes on how to draw a Great Dane. Except the consultant gave him like all of the advice on what a properly bred like healthy Great Dane was supposed to look like, and he did the complete opposite of it because he thought making Scooby-Doo more dopey was made him like more lovable, made him easier for the audience to get attached to.
Yeah, I knew that because they were trying to ride on the coattails of trying to catch up with the massive popularity that the Hardy Boys books were bringing in. And it was also that in a combination of parents protesting that a lot of the kids' shows that were airing at the time were violent, like Johnny Quest and the Herculoids. And so they thought, okay, well, let's just have a mystery series because, the Hardy Boys are really popular. Let's see if we can do that. And so they had the Mystery Five. They had different names for all the characters. They were originally going to be a performing band,
I
but
was
then
just
that,
gonna say that.
yeah, and then that was moved over to Josie and the Pussycats instead. And so then they just decided to just have them as like, mystery solving teenage sleuths. And that's how we eventually got it. Yeah.
Did you know the characters were based off like there was a sitcom at the time, Dobie
The many loves of Doobie
Dobie
Gill.
Gillis, yeah. And
The many loves
the designs for Shaggy and Fred and Daphne were from that show.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me take a quick look. Dobie
Uh,
Gillis. I think I got it right here. Dobie Gillis.
and when you look at the characters for the show,
Wow.
you see Scooby Doo.
I immediately see Shaggy. Fred, that is definitely Daphne. Yeah, no, I can totally see that.
Were basically lifted directly from that show. Yeah, it was one of the first shows on television to adapt what was then modern teen pop culture for an audience and to be directly marketed at teenagers. There weren't a lot of shows that did that back in the back way back in the Paleolithic era of television. They didn't they didn't do that a lot. So this show was kind of a big leap, and it all obviously it had an effect because one of the most famous cartoon shows in the United States and worldwide is, was farmed for information on it, even though it was almost a decade later when Scooby-Doo came out, it still had an impact.
Yeah, they I noticed they do that a lot with Hanna-Barbera does that. It's like Fred Flintstone. He's based off the husband from the Honeymooners,
Right.
right down to like the sound. He kind of looks like him, just as a caveman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got another fun fact. The show has been produced by a lot of animation studios over the years, not just Hanna-Barbera, but it includes Hanna-Barbera, Warner Brothers, and most recently Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll.
Yes.
What are they
So
doing?
they're doing a Scooby-Doo anime.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder how they're gonna do that. Do you remember like it had to have been years ago, they did a spin-off comic of Scooby-Doo where it took place in an apocalyptic world.
Yes, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I would love to see an adaptation of that.
Yeah. That one was pretty that was like actually crazy to see. They were doing it with like all the Hanna-Barbera properties. They had like Wacky Races, but like
The
as a Mad
Flintstones
Max.
one was crazy.
Yeah,
The Flintstones one was absolutely bonkers.
I've seen like one frame from that, and that's like where Fred says, "We committed a genocide, Bonnie."
The last fact, in 1979 was the first time Scooby-Doo went into space, and it was on the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show.
Oh wow.
1979.
1979. And that's around the time where I think the second moon mission happened.
Do you remember where you were in 1979?
Not even a thought in the world, probably in a ball sack.
Somewhere. Ooh.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Scooby-Doo guest star?
Oh, that's a tough one.
My answer was Addams Family, and
Addams
Patricia's
Family.
was Batman and Robin. I got another one. There was different production teams who have worked on the show, including Hanna-Barbera, Warner Brothers Animation, and now Crunchyroll's working on the anime.
There's supposed to be a new anime style Scooby-Doo coming out.
Yeah.
So that's
Can you
great.
believe it that Crunchyroll is working on Scooby-Doo of all things?
I know it's something that was not on my bingo card this year. So
Neither was mine.
and another one, here's the last fact. Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy were all inspired by archetypes from classic horror movies and teenage adventure stories.
I guess that makes a lot of sense. You have like the scaredy cat, you have the damsel in distress, the smart person, and the every guy. So I guess that does make a lot of sense for a lot of these classic stereotypes of horror movies.
Like the last classic fact, 1979 was the first time Scooby-Doo went to space, and that was on the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show.
Yeah.
So.
And also, it was the premiere of Scooby-Doo's first movie, which was Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood.
Oh yeah, yep. I love Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. That was another one I had on VHS.
Yeah. And also, it was supposed to be like a celebration of 10 years of Scooby-Doo, where it's actually one of the very few times in which they actually break the fourth wall, saying that, Scooby and the gang are not really teenage solving mystery sleuths. They're just actors in a TV show. No other incarnation afterwards has ever done that.
I got another one for you too. Favorite guest star. Who was your favorite guest star on Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Doo's had a lot of guest stars over the years, whether it's been on the new Scooby-Doo movies or like different guest stars playing like minor roles in regular episodes, or even Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. Who's your favorite guest star to come on the show? That's the one with the guy from Billy and Mandy who made Billy and Mandy directed that movie, right?
I think so. Yeah, I had such a crush on Elvira growing up. I mean, think about it. She was pretty,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. She was funny. She was smart. And my mother hated her.
Brother was not a fan.
Clearly I had to marry this woman. And then
Oh,
I
man.
found out she was in a relationship, and I was like, damn.
One of my favorite guest stars is definitely the Addams Family episode, which recently just became unbanned.
Mm-hmm.
They recently just put that back in the syndication circulation.
That's awesome. The Addams Family are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it feels like, sorry, I
no,
apologize.
go ahead.
Yeah, it feels like Scooby-Doo and the Addams Family just kind of fit together in a weird sort of way. You know, like they
Right.
just belong as neighbors, like in the same neighborhood.
Are we talking about the new Scooby movies, or are we talking about Guess Who?
Any of them, just of all
Ooh, any of them.
incarnations.
Okay, I mean, obviously Batman and Robin's a classic. You have the
Oh, yeah.
Addams Family.
Addams
And then if
Family
you,
would be mine.
that's a good one. Yeah, Addams Family was a really good one, especially since Hanna-Barbera did both of the Addams Family animated series incarnations, the one they did in the 70s and the one they did in the 90s. Yeah.
Right.
And if you want to talk about like Guess Who, I mean, like, you know, there's a lot of really nice ones. I mean, obviously like Weird Al and Steve Urkel. I mean, come on, that's like
I
a
know.
great pairing.
That's something that you would have expected had already happened, and it hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, I know. I guess if they would have aired a version of it in the 90s, then we probably would have seen something like that. But around that time, you know, Scooby-Doo in the 90s was practically non-existent. There was only like one Scooby movie, and it, you know, just basically like kind of teetered and just died. And
Right.
then eventually we had Zombie Island, which pretty much just revived the whole thing.
I thought the Globetrotters were pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
the Globetrotters are really cool. I love them.
Yeah. I like how I was actually watching an episode of Futurama the other day. They did a Scooby-Doo parody, and they had the Globetrotters in that,
Yeah.
as well as what's his name from George Takei.
Oh, yeah, from Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, but yeah, the Globetrotters is like the one I remember seeing the most. Maybe the Batman one as well. I forget what Batman was. That the Adam West Batman?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, that's cool.
And another one that I'll say is the Johnny Bravo one is highly underrated. Nobody ever talks about that one.
Yeah, there was this one isn't as well known. I can't remember who was the guest star in it, but back I think on Halloween, way before, like way at the earlier time of Cartoon Network, probably like 2000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Scooby-Doo special where they had like some comedians on, and it was kind of a precursor to Adult Swim.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't remember the name of that, but I
Yeah,
watch
it was
that all the time.
Yeah, it was more like adult oriented. It was funny.
Yeah. You know what's also good is the one where they parodied Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah, that one.
That one's really good.
That
too.
one's actually kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Is they do it very well, and they have like it was like aired as segments in between like TV shows. I think it was like they were doing a Scooby-Doo marathon,
Mm-hmm.
and they aired those segments in between, and they used a mix of live action and animation. Basically what they do with Adult Swim.
Well, the Johnny Bravo crossover also was almost like a parody as well.
Yep.
And it's highly underrated. It's so funny.
I can't believe I almost forgot Harvey Birdman, attorney at law.
Oh, that's a great one too.
Shaggy and Scooby get arrested.
Yeah.
They run from the cops, and it's implied that Shaggy's like a stoner. And they're like, "Oh, he's not a stoner. He's just really stupid." Yeah, no, I actually really like the Scooby-Doo Courage the Cowardly Dog crossover. That was a lot of fun. Like, yeah, Eustace's voice was different, but you know, he's gone through two voice actors who unfortunately died.
What I didn't like about it is that was another one that they were going through that weird period with Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah.
And they should have got the original Courage creator to come back for it. And
yeah. That's unfortunate. I wasn't a big fan of the Eustace rap number.
Well, they got the Billy and Mandy creator to do one of the movies, and they wouldn't let
Maxwell
him go all the
Adams?
way. Yeah, Maxwell Adams did like a trilogy with them,
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
but they wouldn't let him go all the way with it, and he ended up ruining one of the movies. It wasn't his fault. It was definitely a studio problem.
Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network have messed that guy. They've screwed him over so many times.
I know, with Under Fist and then Scooby Doo, and
I wanted an Under Fist series so damn bad.
that got canceled because they switched people who were head of Cartoon Network.
Under Fist would have been great. I think.
It would have been a classic.
It would have been a classic. You had all those great characters, like you had Erwin Hostelgado, you had Scar. It was a really good special. Like, it sucks. It's hard to find too. You gotta like pirate it. You can't get that on DVD. You can't buy it on anything. It's not on a streaming service. But yeah,
the Courage the Cowardly Dog crossover came too late.
Yeah, definitely came too late, but at the same time, it was good to see the voice of Muriel come back one more time, because that was her final role before passing away.
Right.
So she was able to come back and do Muriel one more time, and I think she enjoyed coming back as Muriel. She sounded exactly the same. It wasn't like, it wasn't like, how you hear the Simpsons voice actors now, they sound totally different. She sounded the same.
Sound so stressed.
Oh my god, yeah. I have a theory. You can cut this part out, but I think The Simpsons is going to be the first ever series to adopt AI voice actors. I think they've signed the paperwork. I think the voice of Marge is so old she doesn't care at this point.
Dude, it's so hard to watch because the Simpsons show is so good right now. It's so good, but it's so hard to listen to her voice right now.
She sounds like she's about to, like, her vocal cords are about to snap doing that voice, and she's been doing the same voice for, what is it nearly 40 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
35. I think they're having their 36th season this year.
Yeah, there's been a big shakeup at Fox, like, recently. Like, you still got the Simpsons going, but now you have Family Guy moving to Wednesdays, and you got them putting on these.
No, Family Guy got canceled. Family Guy got canceled and moved to Comedy Central.
Really?
Yes.
When did this happen?
Very recently, this summer. So, favorite guest star? Urkel?
Okay, I mean, if I have to choose one guest star, oh man. I mean, I guess, again, I'll probably have to say, if I were to just, like, if you were to just twist my arm, I guess I'll just have to say maybe like Batman and Robin.
Oh, Batman and Robin's a classic.
Yeah.
That was a double episode, or was it a double episode?
Yeah, there was like multiple times in which they met. I mean, there was also that time in which it was featured on what was it? Was it on Batman Brave and the Bold, or was it one of those where...
Yeah, it was Brave and the Bold. They've done two. They did two with Brave and the Bold.
Okay,
they had one on the episode and then one as a separate movie.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, if anything, I mean, like, Batman and Robin is like a staple with Scooby-Doo, so that's why I have to choose it.
And Weird Al was on that one with Batman and Robin on Brave.
That's right, yeah. And then eventually he would have his own separate episode on Guess Who. So, yeah, I mean, that's gold right there.
Yeah. Oh, what about what guest would you like to see crossover that hasn't crossed over with them?
If I had the choice, like, if I could just, like, select someone, I would definitely want it to be something that was, like, kind of out there, Mm-hmm. So, and they've already done a crossover with Batman. I mean, multiple times.
Multiple times. I think at least 4 or 5.
Exactly. Like, they've done that. They've also done they did a whole movie about Blue Falcon, and he also appeared in the Mystery Incorporated series 2nd season. So I think if I could pick anything, I would want Scooby-Doo to have a movie with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's just like I would love that. That would be awesome. And it could be like it could be like if I could pick, it would either be the 1987 incarnation or the 2003 incarnation.
I would like to see that. I've always said, since Warner Brothers owns them, that they should at least have like a Teen Titans crossover with Scooby-Doo. I don't know how that hasn't happened yet.
That does feel like something that should have happened. Yeah.
I mean, they kind of had one on Teen Titans Go, but it wasn't really a crossover, it was more as like a cameo.
Right. You know, we're like, we want a whole movie where Scooby-Doo, the Mystery Incorporated gang, and the Teen Titans have to solve a mystery together.
Right. Oh, that'd
Yeah.
be great. They've already done Batman, so that's the next step. I mean, whether it's a comic crossover or a movie, I would be happy with either or. But like, it feels like missed opportunity that they would have like a Scooby-Doo crossover comic, but not put the teenage mystery solvers in with the Teen Titans. You know?
Oh yeah. It definitely feels like something that's past due.
All right, now last topic. Let's speculate on where the franchise might go next. Potential new shows, movies, collaborations.
I'm interested in that anime version now. Now that you brought it up, I didn't even know that was happening, and the fact that it's going in that direction it threw me off a little bit. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, let's see. You mentioned about the Crunchyroll anime, which
Right.
again, that's crazy. Yeah, they seem to. I know that they're going to be doing like a new Halloween movie pretty soon, from what I heard.
And a live action Netflix show in the style
Yeah,
of
the live action Netflix show. And I haven't heard any new updates on the Velma series on Max.
I was shaky about that show.
Nah, I mean, I think that we're just trying to break the status quo, but not in a very interesting way, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. I would love to see them collaborate with more characters. I mean, the Courage the Cowardly Dog one was, I think that it's a really interesting idea. Like, they
It's
have
an interesting idea, but I don't think they executed it in the way they should have. I don't like the end result with it.
Yeah, I was a bit let down with it, to be quite honest. But I think that maybe another crossover would be nice, like some like crossing over with like another series that is into they can go in a really spooky direction.
Right.
I mean, I've trying to think like other ones that I like to see in the future. I mean, like
I really like the one with Supernatural. I really like.
Oh, the Scooby Natural.
Yeah, that was a great crossover. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and the fact that they were able to constantly break the fourth wall on that one, and that long-haired creepy guy. I mean, he talked about that.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I love his channel.
Yeah,
I love his channel.
Yeah, so he talked about all the Scooby-Doo stuff, including the Scooby Natural one, and he was able to delve deep into why that crossover works so well, because you essentially have these two guys who are looking for supernatural stuff, and you have Scooby in the gang. It's like, that's a great crossover. So yeah, something like that, please. I mean, I would love to see, something that they can be able to just have fun with, just crossing two things together.
Absolutely.
As for what it would be, I'm not sure. I mean, I can't really think of on the top of my head what they could cross over with, because a lot of the more recent, scary or horror stuff is a little bit more serious. So I'm trying to think about what would be a nice one that they can pair up with.
Oh man, I think the live action show is a good way to go, because I don't know if you know, Scooby-Doo, the third Scooby-Doo movie, that the live action one.
Oh
was
yeah,
originally
yeah.
supposed to be a pilot for a TV show.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, but
I think that would have been a great, perfect show. And I don't know why we haven't done like a live action, show.
Well, I mean, they have done live action movies before.
Yeah, I think instead we got the two Cartoon Network movies
right
that were live action that kind of acted as prequels.
Yeah,
they were like younger versions of themselves.
I
consider
were younger
them in
versions
the
of
same.
themselves, but it took place in the same world as the live action movies.
Yeah. That's. So I took those as prequels growing up, and we got two of those.
But I guess maybe as a live action series, I mean, I think it's going to be inevitable at some point.
Yeah, you would think CW being owned by Warner Brothers, it would have happened already. It would have.
Yeah, like when they did with like Archie, like when they did like Riverdale.
That's what I've been hearing.
It's like, okay, let's take this lighthearted comic book series and let's make it darker. So it's like, okay, let's
and I think that's where the franchise should go. It's funny that you say that. I think we should get to a point where it doesn't have to be too for adults, but just a little bit more mature, something that you could see on Toonami or like a more mature audience. I'd like to see a more serious Scooby-Doo that's not afraid. Where I think Mystery Inc. was afraid to push boundaries a little bit. It pushed enough where it could be like, oh, we're still for kids, so we're gonna pull back a little bit, but we're still gonna be a little edgy. I want to go like a little bit farther, you know? I want to be more like 13, 14, 15-year-olds they're aiming at instead of like the 10, 11, 12. I
yeah.
want to see it push a little bit more boundaries. I want to see more of that adult dynamics with these it's got the potential to do it, you know? It's like when I was talking to somebody about Power Rangers. Power Rangers seems stuck in that kid demographic, and it's not able to mature. And if it went it just needs to go that PG-13 crowd, like the Marvel movies, and it could be respected a little bit more. But until it gets there, it's still going to be this show with a lot of wasted potential.
Hmm.
And I think
Interesting.
Scooby-Doo's in that point right now. It's catering. It can still cater to kids. But like you see stuff like Batman and Marvel, they got a kids version, but they also got their adult version in the movies and stuff. And I think it should be able to balance both. Well, I was telling Patricia, I said, look at the Marvel movies, look at Batman. When you have a Batman movie, you have the live action ones that are adult, and then you have the animated ones on Cartoon Network. Right now we have Robert Pattinson's Batman, which is adult.
Yeah.
We have Bat Wheels, which is for preschool, and then we have the one on Prime, Cape Crusader, and that's kind of in the middle. You got Batman animated series; it's kind of in the middle. You could do that with Scooby-Doo. You could do that with Power Rangers, and it doesn't have to.
Heck, even like some of the animated, the DC animated universe stuff gets really violent. Like I remember the Batman. I think it was Justice League Dark. I think it was called, where they did a crossover with Constantine.
Oh yeah.
That was a more violent Batman movie, and they literally had a shit monster at one.
Sure. And who do you think would be a good person to be like the showrunner or the executive producer behind it?
Oh, I don't really know showrunners like that, but somebody who's got a background with like teen dramas and mysteries. Maybe like a Tim Burton Scooby-Doo would be kind of interesting.
I mean, he did
like
Wednesday.
Right. He's got that dark, creepy element. Even a Steven Spielberg could handle something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see that direction. I'm hoping they keep Scooby in it, and they don't pull a Velma and have him not there.
Oh God, Velma was the worst.
Yeah, I couldn't get through an episode of that.
They brought Scrappy back for that show, but they wouldn't bring Scooby.
And they had Scrappy fucking kill them.
I know.
It's like,
I hope that show doesn't get a season 3. I really hope that show doesn't.
I'm really hoping like the first 2 seasons was like they ordered two seasons, and that's it. And it was just awful.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Velma. I was very vocal about how much I'm not a fan of Velma.
Yeah, I mean, you can do Scooby-Doo like in an adult setting. I think the franchise is old enough to where you can do that. Is you had, like I said, I brought up Harvey Birdman. They did it well in that.
Yeah, and you could do adult Scooby-Doo and have it work.
Yeah.
But, I think these Warner Brothers just got in their head that they got to stick to a children's property, and they really don't. There's no reason to.
And Velma was it was completely disrespectful to like everything. Like, you have to have respect for the source material if you're going to do parody of it. That's what makes parody so good.
Family It was almost a shame to be part of the Scooby-Doo legacy.
Yeah, that like Family Guy, Star Wars, the reason those worked so well is there was respect to Star Wars. Seth MacFarlane's a big Star Wars fan.
From Robot Chicken, Robot Chicken gave me a good idea years ago. I would like to see the Scooby-Doo franchise take on horror movie icon.
Oh yeah, the Jason Voorhees one.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting series. And just at the end, you just find out like that they were been a guy in a costume the whole time.
Yeah,
Natural stuff's just kind of been
they're like they're ripping off the movies, but they're not like the actual versions of that.
Yeah, I would love to see a Scooby-Doo show do something like that. That would be great.
If you're a fan of the slasher genre,
Mhm.
if you've ever been into that, if you look at the standard slasher formula and then watch an episode of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It is uncanny how similar they are.
It's funny that you say that because I said that same exact thing when that last Scream movie came out.
Uh-huh.
The reboot ones or the reboot sequels, the one with the Disney Channel actress. Can't think of her name, but the newer ones, the last two ones. I literally looked at my brother at the end of the movie and said, "Dude, this is live action Scooby Doo without live action Scooby Doo."
Exactly, like I'm serious, like you have about 4 or 5 teenagers, they go to a place that they shouldn't be, they're wandering around, and then some guy in a mask shows up. Like
Right.
Scooby-Doo was the G-rated slasher.
Yeah.
It was the G-rated slasher. Then honestly, I'm kind of interested in it because I did watch that YouTube crowdfunded thing, Mystery Incorporated.
Okay.
I watched the first episode of that, and I just started laughing at certain points, and I was just like, "This is a do-over for the 13 Ghosts," and I was kind of okay with that because I liked the way that they played with the whole formula a little bit. And someone had to point it out to me, and I was a little embarrassed. I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I recognized Flim Flam, but I had forgotten about his joy juice. And that Flim Flam is now a drug dealer, and he's selling his joy juice. And I was like, this feels weirdly appropriate for Flim Flam.
I'm really shocked they haven't brought Flim Flam back in a long time. Like they just kind of keep him in 13 Ghosts realm and anything to do with 13 Ghosts. Like you would think they would do like a guest episode or like a spotlight episode or like even just like one extra appearance. And they don't do anything with the Scooby Doo side characters.
If there's a character that's more obscure than Scrappy, it would probably be Flim Flam.
Well, Scooby Dum too. Even the people who know Flim Flam don't know Scooby Dum.
That's true. Yeah. Like it's kind of a coin toss. Who's more obscure, Flim Flam or Scooby Dum? But go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead because I don't.
I was gonna say another thing I would love to see with Scooby-Doo is like an X-Files thing where they like investigate space aliens, because we got a hint of that in Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, but I kind of feel like they could do more with the concept.
There's a Scooby-Doo short movie. It's not a full movie, but it's a short movie that they had released on Cartoon Network a couple years ago, and they like did a parody of Alien. That was really good, but you could tell they had limitations because the Warner Brothers wouldn't let them do the full like scary part about Alien. But they I think it was really good. But it's like it's very obscure. Nobody watched it. I did a review on it because I was like, nobody's gonna talk about this at all. Go ahead.
I remember when you said nobody watched it. I remember when I was doing when I had my YouTube channel, I did a review of Scooby-Doo, the Scooby-Doo project, those string of promos that was on Cartoon Network, like back in the late.
I love the Scooby-Doo project.
Yeah, I actually did like it, and I did a whole review on it. I actually went out into my front yard underneath security light so that I could have like the whole spooky atmosphere, and I parodied the scene in the Blair Witch Project where all you can see is the girl's face from like here up, and basically I just did that, and so it was a surprise hit. I was actually kind of afraid of how that one was going to turn out, but a lot of people loved it, and they loved that I was talking about the Scooby-Doo project. So
that's really good. I love the Scooby-Doo project. That's one of the ones that I'm like, dude, Cartoon Network clearly wanted to do something more big with this, and someone blocked them because there should have been more stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the Scooby-Doo crossover, that was way long overdue. You know,
Mhm.
that was way long overdue. We should have done
And
that 20 years ago.
and Zombie Island, the original Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, where the sequel was bad. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I actually flew into a rage during that review, so I'm trying not to talk about it too much. I'll fall down a rabbit hole. But Zombie Island proved that Scooby-Doo can handle more mature subject matter. You know, that you can have like a Scooby-Doo movie or Scooby-Doo content that is, you know, like darker and more serious, but still has the humor and the characters that we love.
It was so good, James Gunn ripped it off.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Like I watched the first when I'm reviewing the first Scooby-Doo live action movie, and I'm like, this is like a lower grade version of Zombie Island. You know?
You got to watch the Scooby-Doo movies backwards. Mystery
Mhm.
Begins, Scooby-Doo 2, then Scooby-Doo.
Right, right. You know, it's like basically you have to go in reverse. I have a friend who is really big into slasher movies, and he was wanting ideas for like he wanted to write his own, and he was looking for ideas. So I was like, okay, here's what you do. I'm sending you some links. Watch this episode of Scooby-Doo, this one, this one. These are just some I just sent him basically a bunch of like some of my favorite Where Are You episodes that I thought would fit with what he was looking for. And he watched a few of them, and then he messaged me back and he's like, I have so many ideas now.
That's
And
perfect.
that made me happy.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be awesome. I
Something
mean,
like Mystery Incorporated style, but like take it that next step. Like
Mystery Incorporated was really
was
good.
kind of was dark, but it was afraid to go that next step to get a little darker, you know?
Yeah, I think Mystery Incorporated that came out around during the Adventure Time era, so they
Yeah.
really did a good job with building a story on that one.
I think they set it up good. I didn't like the end.
Yeah, I think it was rushed. That's a problem with a lot of these cartoons. They get rushed to an ending. It happens a lot with Disney animation. I know a friend who's a fan of the Owl House, and that one
Oh,
got
I
a
love
rushed
the Owl
ending.
House.
And,
They're doing a crossover with Gravity Falls right now. The Owl Houses.
yeah, it's cool that Disney still does those crossovers.
Oh, Be Cool Scooby Doo. So
Be Cool.
Be Cool Scooby Doo was made from people who worked on Family Guy, so it had that Family Guy style, and it was a different take, but people couldn't get past that it had the Family Guy style.
I saw some scenes from that, and I actually liked it. There was a scene where they meet a goth girl, and like Fred thought she was a vampire, and I think Daphne had to explain what goths were to him, and it just cuts to Fred. He's holding his steak and mallet, and he puts it down, and he's giving her like a menacing look.
Dude, it's so hilarious and it's underrated. That was one of
Yeah,
the few shows I used to like binge watch, like when I was like having on the background because it was so funny. It would it was great to watch, and that's another one. It rode down the middle of whether it was for kids or for adults. But nobody watched it. Nobody supported it because of all their goes. Oh, look at the art style. It's terrible. They're ripping off Family Guy, and it's like, dude, it's a wicked good show if you gave it a chance.
yeah. I gotta give that one a watch. The whole reason I didn't watch it at the time is I didn't have Boomerang
Yeah.
Network, and it was on Boomerang, which sucks. Is if it was on the main Cartoon Network channel, I would have seen it. Didn't look like that bad to me. It looked like a different take. It's like
It had cutaways like Family Guy, and it was funny. It was like very sarcastic, and it didn't take itself serious at all. Like Daphne is pretty much brain dead in that show, and Fred's
Yeah.
just sick of everybody's crap. He's just like, oh, I'm done. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it looked like a funny take on it, and the way you're explaining it to me is actually selling it to me more.
But
Yeah, you gotta do an episode on Hanna-Barbera animation one of these days. As I like to talk about Hanna-Barbera
I love
in general.
Hanna-Barbera. That's one of my big animation companies. I've
Yeah,
watched almost everything from them.
yeah, like they had a formula with like a group of teens getting into trouble with like evil geniuses.
Right.
Jonesy and the Pussycats was the same thing.
And so was Jabberjaw,
Jabberjaw.
all of them.
Yep, and then even with like then you had Fred Flintstone, Yogi Bear, who had some similar thing going on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Billy and Mandy did episodes with them too.
yeah, I like the episode where Billy unfreezes Fred.
Yeah, that's great.
It's funny you like to answer your earlier question, and I apologize for going off on that
It's
tangent.
okay. I go off tangents all the time.
But yeah, uh I actually did have this idea. There was an anime series. Well, it was a manga series first, but it was made into an anime called the Kindaichi Case Files, and it was basically a teenager and his best friend. Like they investigate mysteries, and there was usually like a supernatural bent to them, where like the mystery would seemingly be impossible, and there would be like so there would be some kind of ghost legend revolving around it somewhere, and then it would reveal like how it was done through mundane means, and how someone was just farming it for farming it to get revenge for something. But like I feel I was actually thinking about this, and I was like, you could take this same concept and apply it to Scooby-Doo, because this is basically Scooby-Doo in Japan,
Mhm.
So it doesn't even need to be set in Japan, but I mean, like, I would actually like to see the Scooby Gang have a series where they investigate murder mysteries, but I would still want it to be like, it wouldn't necessarily, I don't want it to be Velma, though. I don't want it to,
No,
just
I
because
hated Velma was awful. That
just
was
because Velma was bad. Yeah, okay, like we're in agreement. Velma was bad,
yeah.
but like I could still like a show like Murder She Wrote or Castle, where it's a murder mystery and that subject is taken seriously, but they can still have some fun with it, or the characters can be quirky and can have banter back and forth with each other, that sort of thing. Like, I think Scooby-Doo, if handled properly, could do that. I do think you could have like these four teens in their van with their dog, so, and like, I still want Scooby-Doo to talk. I don't want it to be so realistic that Scooby-Doo doesn't talk. I'm saying I would like to see them like investigate a scenario like this.
Velma, man, Velma. You tell me Velma's so serious that they can't do Scooby Doo, but they can do Scrappy.
Yeah. And then there was like this was a comic series, not a TV series, but they did Scooby Apocalypse.
Yeah, I've read that.
And that was actually pretty good.
Mhm.
That was actually, like a fairly decent comic book series. So it was interesting, some of the takes that they took on the characters too. Velma in particular, I remember, was one that I found myself fascinated with and wanted to know more about. So it's not like they can't, it's not that it's impossible, it just needs to be handled right. Like that comic book that was popular for a little while, Hack Slash, with the final girl who like just starts hunting down slasher villains,
Mhm.
like kind of like that,
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo going looking for slasher villains. That, yes, yeah, I would be okay with that.
I think we should. I think the Scooby Doo is long overdue to evolve into a more mature franchise. And like I said, it doesn't need to be rated R. You can
No.
keep it PG-13. It's still for kids, but just for this, it's 55 years old. Enough
Mhm.
people have grown up on this franchise and are adults now. We will support it if it gets a little darker, if it went that PG-13 route. And they almost did it with the James Gunn movies. But
Mhm.
even Scooby Doo 2 kind of pulled back from that.
Yeah, I will say that the second live action Scooby-Doo movie I consider to be the better one of the two, but that has more to do with it feeling like a Scooby-Doo movie, than the first film.
I I highly disagree with you on that. I love the first Scooby live action Scooby Doo movie just
Mhm.
because of the 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 world is serious, but they're not serious at all. Like they're
Right.
just it and I don't know if it's because it's almost like a parody. It's not taking itself seriously, and that's why I like it more. But I feel like Scooby Doo 2 takes itself way too serious.
Right. I even wrote like I had a I don't know if anyone knows this, but I'm a published author, and I wrote like a it's not Scooby-Doo, but like a few pages in, and you can tell exactly where the source material came from, like where this is pulled from. And the name of it is Normal.
I like it.
Yeah. I'll send you a link if you want.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, the dog's name is Marshmallow.
I love it already.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll send you the link later.
all right, guys, that'll do for today's episode of the Nerd Talk Podcast. Thank you for being here and making the show a part of your week. I want to thank the people on the panel today with me. Miss Patricia, how can people find you?
All right, you can check me out on oldschoollane.net. I have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/oldschoollane. I have a lot of other places you can check me out at. I'm on Facebook, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram. You can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all those places. New episodes will go there first, and then they'll go up in a few days on YouTube. Right now, we're going to be doing a series of new podcasts called Old Spook Lane, which is a series of spooky topics in conjunction with Halloween. You can check out the several years I've done that. We did various movies and TV shows, from Are You Afraid of the Dark, when we talked about the 3 live action movies. We did Tim Burton month last year, so if you want to go check that out. I also did a Scooby-Doo podcast on my own 5 years ago, actually, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Scooby-Doo. I had that long-haired creepy guy, as we mentioned earlier, and I had Taylor Wyatt, aka Y-Boy from Toon Grin, who also did the Scooby-Doo Corner. We talked about Scooby-Doo, we talked about our favorite incarnations, favorite characters, all that stuff. I also even talked about Scoob, which was the 2020 movie that came out during the pandemic. So yes, Scooby-Doo is something that we've talked about on Old School Lane, if you want to listen to more of our thoughts on it. So yeah, again, Remington, thank you so much for having me on by. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. I am still on Twitter, like just more like just I got settled in there, and even though it sucks, I'm still calling it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. I just think that's a stupid name. I'm old. I can be stubborn and cantankerous about this sort of thing. And mostly I'm there nowadays. I don't use Facebook anymore. I do have an Instagram account, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I've fallen behind on social media, like got busy with life and work and so forth. So
Are you still posting on Patreon?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do have a Patreon as well.
You clicked on this podcast with the Scooby-Doo title, I'm sure you've seen his videos. It's hard not to know him. He's a legend in YouTube kind of review sphere. So
I'm really not. Like I really wasn't. I was very obscure. Like the most I think people did remember me for was either Scooby-Doo or Gem when I was reviewing the Gem and the Holograms cartoon show. But thank you very much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I do enjoy talking about Scooby-Doo. Like I said, it's probably the franchise that I have been a part of the longest, and
well, thank you for coming on it. Thank you, Gareth, for joining us. Where can
You're welcome.
I find you on social media?
You can find me on YouTube. I do have an X. I don't post on that often. I do get some. I do post some spicy stuff on there. Mostly my takes on certain situations. Nothing
I'm
too
blocked by
controversial.
almost every film critic on X. Blockbuster Buster blocked me. Linkara.
Linkara blocks everyone. Linkara is like, he's kind of a baby.
Doug Walker doesn't like me. He hates my guts. Did I tell you at Kineticon, he was so mad at me that I got up there. So he kept like, he was doing one of the panels or something. He was like dodging me, and so I went up to him. And he goes, "What are you doing at my booth?" I said, "Oh, well, I came here to get your dad's autograph," and it like hurt his ego. You could see it hurt his ego so badly.
Yeah.
But
Oh man.
You know I am with guests. People don't like me.
But yeah, YouTube and X, Gareths Mod. Like I posted a gaming video a few days ago. I'm working on a Space Marine 2 video right now. That should hopefully be out on Saturday.
My name is Remington Kaiser. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.